Okay, geotrig. What we have here is day 2 of solving log equations. The first thing I want to point out is you guys have to remember this. Remember that you have log form, you have exponential form. You can switch between those two forms very easily, very readily. Even if I cover up the fact that this log base b of y is just by itself. So if I said just log base 3 of 27, I still can switch this to an exponential form by arbitrarily setting it equal to something. Let's call it h. I don't care. So it would be 3 to the h equals 27. And then this kind of goes back to that worksheet that we did the other day by getting the same bases. And so hopefully you would understand that h is equal to 3. So using this type of information to solve this type of equation. Now the biggest thing about these types of equations, there's a log in it. We don't like logs, we don't want logs, so we get rid of the logs. But to get rid of logs, you have to get it by itself. So number one, you have to isolate. It means get this thing by itself. Well, guess what? There's a 5 there. So I subtract 5 from both sides. I end up with log base 2 of 7x equals 4. And now we're in that situation, like up here, where I can say, hey, I can get rid of the log just by switching forms. And so this becomes 2, right? 2 to the 4th power equals 7x. 2 to the 4th power equals 7x. And so you obviously have to know a little bit about numbers. Figure out that's 2, 4, 8, 16. So it'd be 16 equals 7x. Guys, the numbers do not have to be nice, but I'll just divide both sides by 7. And so x is equal to 16 over 7. Reduce it if you can. This one you can't. And we're done. So it's not that bad. So the next one that we're going to do is just going to kick it up just a little bit. Now we have to use our logs. So now you have to remember the product rule, the division rule, and the division rule? We're adding, we're subtracting, and then we're also multiplying. So in this case, going to that double-decker bus idea that we've talked about before, I got to combine these to a single log first. I got to condense. So we did a worksheet or some problems that did expanding and condensing. This one's going to be a condensing. Got to get to a single log. I'm hoping you guys understand that they would all go into a log base 10. And since you are taking x and minus log of x minus log of 4, you are going to take x and you're going to divide it by 4. All of that is inside that log now. I did not change anything on the right hand side, so it still equals 1. Now, it was kind of important that you guys recognize that what was tucked in here, as I already said it, is a 10. Because now you're back to that point that we talked about earlier of just switch it out. So this would be 10 to the 1st power equals x over 4. Well, anything to the 1st power is that thing. So 10 equals x over 4. Multiply both sides by 4. Those cancel. 4's cancel. And x is equal to 40. Now, one last thing I've got to leave you with is just like before when you were solving these equations. You can find, sometimes you will end up with quadratics, and you'll have to use a quadratic formula, you'll have to factor, you'll end up with a couple other things. You cannot, so if this would have came up to a negative 40, okay, this is not what it was. If I go to plug it back into here, negative log of negative 40 cannot work. So therefore you would have to know that, oh, negative 40 doesn't work. But luckily for us, it's 40, and log of 40 minus log of 4 is going to equal 1. And you could actually test that particular one on your calculator, because our calculators do have log base 10, log, and log base e. So for your homework, I'm going to go back to that big log packet, And problems 21 through 160, I would like you to choose 6 of those. And then 161 to 180, I want you to choose another 6 of those. Jump around. Don't do the first 6 in this one and then the first 6 of this one. I want you to jump 2 or 3 in between. Have a great day.